Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jayam Vishnupat Paramahansa Parivrajagacharya Ashtotara Shata Shishimad His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki ISKCON Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada ki Grantaraj Shiman Bhagavatam ki Nitai Gaura Premanandi. Oh glories to the assembled devotees. Oh glories to the assembled devotees. Oh glories to the assembled devotees. Oh glories to Shishi Guru and Shiguranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, the Summon Bonan, Chapter 70, Lord Krishna's Daily Activities. Text number 44. Jasya malandi vijasha pratitan rasajam. Bhumau chate bhuvana mangaladit pitanam. Mandakiniti divi bhogavatiti chado. Gangeti cheha charanam bupunati vishwam. Jasya malandi vijasha pratitam rasajam. Bhumau chate bhuvana mangaladit pitanam. Mandakiniti divi bhogavatiti chado. Gangeti cheha charanam bupunati vishwam. Jasya malandi vijasha pratitam rasajam. Bhumau chate bhuvana mangaladit pitanam. Mandakiniti divi bhogavatiti chado. Gangeti cheha charanam bupunati vishwam. Please chant. Jasya malandi vijasha pratitam rasajam. Bhumau chate bhuvana mangaladit vitanam. Mandakiniti divi bhogavati chatado. Gangeti cheha charanam bupunati vishwam. Jasya malandi bijasa pratita rasajam. Bhumau chate bhuvana mangala dikbitanam. Mandakiniti dibhogavati chado. Gangeti cheha charanam bupunati vishwam. Jasya malandi bijasa pratitam rasajam. Bhumau chate bhuvana mangala dikbitanam. Mandakiniti dibhogavati chado. Gangeti cheha charanam bupunati vishwam. Jasya malandi bijasha pratitam rasajam. Bhumau chate bhuvana mangala dikbitanam. Mandakiniti dibhogavati chado. Gangeti cheha charanam bupunati vishwam. Jasya, whose, amalam, spotless, divi, in heaven, jashaha, fame, prathitam, disseminated, rasajam, in the subterranean region, bhumau, on the earth, cha, and, te, your, bhuvana, for all the worlds, mangala, O creator of good fortune, dik, in the universal direction, in or of the universal direction. Vitanam, the expansion or decorative canopy. Mandakini iti, ko mandakini, divi, in heaven. Bhogavati iti, ko Bhogavati, cha, and adaha, below. Ganga iti, ko Ganga, cha, and iha, here on the earth. Charana, from your feet. Ambu, the water. Punati, purified. Vishwam, the whole universe. Translation and purport by the disciples of His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. My dear Lord, you are the symbol of everything auspicious. Your transcendental name and fame is spread like a canopy all over the universe, including the higher, middle, and lower planetary systems. The transcendental water that washes your lotus feet is known in the higher planetary system as the Mandakini River, in the lower planetary system as the Bhogavati, and in this earthly planetary system as the Ganges. This sacred transcendental water flows throughout the entire universe, purifying wherever it goes. For four, this translation is based on Srila Prabhupada's Krishna. Sridhar Swami mentions that the word dig vitanam indicates that Lord Krishna's transcendental glories spread throughout the universe like a cooling canopy over the universal directions. In other words, the whole world can find shelter in the cooling shade of the Lord's lotus feet. Thus, the Lord is Bhuvana Mangala, the symbol of everything auspicious for this world. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Ummilitan Yena Tasmai Sri Gurube Namaha. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasaya Bhutale Srimate Ramapada Swami Iti Namine. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashatya Deshatarine Vancha Kalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Vyaevacha Patitanam Pavanevyo Vaishnavevyo Namo Namaha. Narada Muni speaking, and he is communicating to the Lord the desire, his personal desire as well as the desire is being in one sense a messenger from Maharaj Yudhisthira, who under Narada's instructions is preparing for performing the Raja Shuja sacrifice. So Maharaj Yudhisthira's message to Lord Krishna is to please come, because this great sacrifice, by this great sacrifice, Maharaj Yudhisthira wants to worship Lord Krishna and establish his full supremacy. And for performing such sacrifice, there's the require of so much purification. And the Lord is a supreme purifier. It's something that Narada Muni established. In the previous verse, he says that you're such a supreme purifier that even outcasts, just by the mere listening to your glories, they become purified. What to speak of seeing you and touching you? So the presence of Lord Krishna will purify everything and will make the whole effort of performing this great sacrifice auspicious. And the purpose of this great sacrifice for Maharaj Yudhisthira is not, and Maharaj Yudhisthira makes this very, very clear. In the Mahabharata narration, it is explained, Maharaj Yudhisthira, when he's instructed, when he's instructed by Narada Muni, he was doubtful and reluctant. But then, as he processed and thought about it, he came to a conclusion, no, this is Krishna's desire. And through this sacrifice, he can establish Krishna as a supreme personality. Among all demigods and among all kings, Krishna's supremacy will be established. So his purpose, Maharaj Yudhisthira's purpose, was just to worship Krishna through this sacrifice. Narada Muni also says, previous to the verse of yesterday, he says that not only his presence to purify everything is necessary, but also all the great personalities who will attend the sacrifice, the demigods, and all the righteous kings, they actually want to be able to worship the Lord. And Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, he, in his comments to these verses, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, as we accustomed to, he goes a little deeper into Arjuna's and Krishna's mind. Sorry, in this case, Narada Muni and Krishna's mind. And Krishna asked the question, what's the purpose for them to want to see me, the kings and the demigods? And Krishna responds, and Narada Muni responds, because you're so pure, you're such a purifying, to have your darshan once become completely purified. So they desire, the demigods and the kings desire to see you because they understand your position as the supreme shelter, as the supreme Brahman, the supreme, the absolute truth, and the supreme purifier. And therefore they want to see you. That's the purpose. And then Srila Narada Muni expands on this purpose by saying, today's verse, you are the symbol of everything that is auspicious. Param Mangala, or the supreme auspicious thing. And then through your glories actually becomes a shelter of everything. And when one is under the shelter of your glories, of your lotus feet are purifying. Just as the water that touch your lotus feet, we know that pastime when Lord Vamanadev expanded and he covers the whole cosmic manifestation with the toe of his lotus feet, he opened a little hole on the cover of the universe, and the waters from the causal ocean gush into the universe and touch the lower lotus feet. And from that water, then descended into the universe as these sacred waters that will purify the whole universe. And in these waters, they manifested into these rivers. In the heavenly planets is the Mandakini. In earth is Ganges. And in the lower planetary system is this Bhogavati. We have the chance, it's also the Mandakini River is in Chitrakoot when Lord Ram performed his pastimes. We have the opportunity to bathe in the Mandakini River, which is wonderful. Beautiful, beautiful scenery. But the Mandakini River is same source as the Ganges, but in the heavenly planets. So Narada Muni's explained it's all about this naturally this factor of the Lord being this supreme purifier. And Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur continues uh, on his purpose, and he explains. He goes back again and he says, Krishna asking this to Narada, what is the cause of this eagerness to see? First, he asks, what is the purpose? The purpose is because they become purified just by seeing you. And then, well, why they're so eager? And then Narada responds, your spotless fame, spread in the heavens, earth, and lower planets, covering the houses of the directions like a canopy, purifies the universe. In the same way, your food, waters purify the universe. Because their heart has been purified, they desire to see you. Or, you whose fame and food, water purify the universe, has been invited to Yudhishthira's sacrifice, but there is a necessity of everything being purified. So, the eagerness comes because of having taken shelter on the Lord's lotus feet and having become purified, they eager to hear and to associate, to see the Lord. Because within this fame, that is the actual shelter. The glories of the Lord is the actual shelter of the whole world. Krishna, in the 10th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, he explains to Arjuna this whole um, transcendental truth in the Chaturshloki of the Bhagavad Gita. The four verses, fundamental verses of the Bhagavad Gita establish Krishna's supremacy, in which he declares, Aham Sarvasya Prabhavo, what is it? Aham Sarvasya Prabhavo, Matto Sarvas Pravartate, Iti Matto Vajanteman, what is it? I forgot the last one. But he established that he is the source of everything. He is the supreme absolute truth from whom everything emanates. And when one is able to realize that, naturally one takes to devotional service. So one immediately, by understanding Krishna's opulences and Krishna's glories, by accepting that, one naturally would take shelter of Krishna. And then those who take shelter of Krishna, what do? They just want to hear more and more about Krishna. They absorb themselves and they enlighten each other by narrating the glories of Krishna, which is full of joy. Machita mat pranas kathas bodayantas parasparam katayantas chamanityan tusyanti cha ramanti cha. So they naturally will do that. We naturally want to hear about Krishna. And by that type of dedication to this loving service to Lord Krishna, then from within the heart, Krishna tells Arjuna that he will give the intelligence by which they can come back to him. And Tesan Ivanuka Partan, that the last of the Chaturshloki, that from within the heart he eh, extinguishes, or sorry, he enlightened the condition, the devotee. He enlightens the devotee with knowledge, completely eradicating the the ignorance that is there. So, with the torchlight of knowledge, he purifies, he enlightens. And then immediately Arjuna declares, which is very similar of what we're hearing here. After hearing that, Arjuna declares, Param Brahma Parandama Pavitram Paramam Bhavam. This Param Pavitram Paramam, that he is a supreme purifier. Param Brahma, he is the absolute truth, the supreme personality of Godhead. In his personal transcendental form, the origin of everything. That is he, Krishna, the supreme personality of Godhead. Param Dhamma, he is the supreme shelter. And this word Dhamma, it is explained in the Sanskrit, big Sanskrit, thesaurus. How do you say thesaurus? It's explained as shelter, house, but also light, that enlighten. So he's a supreme shelter because it's enlightened all those who have who have entered into that shelter. In this case, the shelter is described as a canopy that shelters the whole creation. And then this uh, pavitram, pavitram paramam, uh, he is the supreme purifier. Um, Arjuna described Krishna as Purusham Sashratam Divyam Adi Devan Ajam Vibhu, that he is eternal, transcendental, the original person and unborn, the greatest. So, once taking shelter onto the lotus feet of the Lord, naturally, the immediate consequence is once become completely purified. Purification takes place. And this purification it's a very wonderful thing, because this is what Narada is emphasizing on the purpose that is there for Krishna's presence in the Rajasuya sacrifice, and the eagerness of all participants to have the darshan and the association of Krishna, and to serve Krishna like that. The whole purpose of the Rajasuya sacrifice is to worship Krishna. From all this, Narada is emphasizing Krishna as a supreme purifier. And is it's a very wonderful thing. This is something that Srila Prabhupada writes in his purport, explaining this Paramam Pavitram. He says, in the Vedas, the Supreme Lord is accepted as the purest of the pure. One who understands that Krishna is the purest of the pure can become purified from all sinful activities. One cannot disinfect from sinful activities unless he surrenders unto the Supreme Lord. Arjuna's acceptance of Krishna as a supreme pure complies with the injunctions of Vedic literature. And this is also confirmed by great personalities, of whom Narada is the chief. So, and also this type of quality of Lord Krishna as being the supreme purifier is also explained in the Sri Upanishad, which is the highest of all the Upanishads. And we read in text number 8 that Krishna is described as Sudan. The verse goes, Anas Viram Sudan Apapa Bidham. So he's described as Sudam and Apapa Bidam. And it's these two things. And Sudam, Srila Prabhupada translates as antiseptic. And Apapa Bidam, Srila Prabhupada translates in the word by word as prophylactic. So we have here a little bit of a how you say, medicine type of terms. I think uh, Cynthia may appreciate that, because of her profession. But so Krishna is both antiseptic and prophylactic. So what does this mean? Prabhupada explains in the purport. So we read a little bit on that. It's very wonderful. To confirm that the Lord is always pure and uncontaminated. So, uh, um, okay, I keep reading. Sri Upanishad describe him as Sudam, antiseptic, and Apapabidam, prophylactic. He is antiseptic in the sense that even an impure thing can become purified just by touching him. The word prophylactic refers to the power of his association. The Lord is also Apapabidam, prophylactic, because sin cannot touch him. Even if he acts in a way that appears to be sinful, such actions are all good, for there is no question of his being affected by sin, because in all circumstances his Sudham, most purified, is often compared to the sun. Comparison to the sun is that even if the sun touches a contaminated place, such as, a latrine or something like that, then by the power of the sun, the whole place becomes purified. In the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, these two aspects of the Lord as a supreme purifier gets a little also explained. Srila Rupa Goswami also explained that there's two aspects of being the supreme pure. This um, antiseptic and this prophylactic, or that the Lord is always pure and he's never touched by sin, uncontaminated. Um, so, so this is from the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu of Srila Prabhupada, and the summary study of Srila Rupa Goswamis by Srila Prabhupada. Quote, there are two kinds of supreme purity. One type is possessed. Now, this is from the perspective of bhakti. So take that perspective. When one performs bhakti, then these qualities of the Supreme Lord also manifest in the devotee. So the devotee, just as the Supreme Lord possesses these two qualities in a supreme uh, manifestation, a devotee also possesses these qualities. So, so these two kinds of supreme purity. When one type is possessed, one is able to deliver a sinful person. When the other type is possessed, one does not do anything which is impure. So when one's have or connects to the supreme pure and becomes a via media of that purity, pure devotee, then just by the purest devotees association, he's able to purify anyone. And by being in contact with the supreme pure, the supreme personality of Godhead, they never touched by sin. So these two things are there. They, they, one does not do anything which is impure. A person who possesses either of these qualities is called supremely pure. Krishna is both. He can deliver all sinful conditioned souls, and at the same time, he never does anything which he can be contaminated. So, um, we see this purifying power of the personality of God, Krishna, in so many ways throughout the whole pastimes. Some that comes to mind that just by his touch is able to fully purify different uh, persons that comes into touch. One that comes into mind is Trivarka, which was the hunchback woman. How do you say hunchback woman in Dwarka? Remember that she was a servant of Kamsa, and she was carrying all these scented oils that were meant for the service of Kamsa. And then she was deformed. She was a hunchback, and then came across with Lord Krishna and Lord Balaram, and Krishna, in a joking way, he say, "Oh, most beautiful lady, can I have some of these scented oils?" And she was so taken by Krishna's beauty that immediately she just offered the oils to Krishna and started to um, place these oils on Krishna's body. And then Krishna step on her with his lotus feet, step on her toes, and then with his hand he push her chin, and then boom, she straight up and became this most beautiful lady. So she became totally purified by the touch of Krishna. And then we also have, we all, some time ago we heard about a snake that was swallowing Nanda Maharaj. And just by the touch of Krishna's lotus feet, the snake was free from that body and became a demigod. And we know also Krishna touching the lizard that also became also a great demigod like that who was cursed to be a lizard. So this capacity of become the supreme purifier, the most auspicious. And in this case, Narada is declaring that. In the 10th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna is declaring, you are the supreme purifier. You are the supreme personality of God. But it's not just me who is declaring it, but there's all these great sages like Narada, Vyasa, Asita, Devala. And now you, Krishna, is also declaring that. So I accept in total what you're saying. And Arjuna, with full conviction now, he wants to hear more about Krishna's glories, Krishna's vibhutis. So he asks, please tell me in more detail. Because from chapter 7, 8, and 9, Krishna established in an overview especially in chapter 7, he established his opulences. I am the taste of water. I am the source of these material elements as well as the spiritual. And then you can see me as the rays of the light of the moon and the sun, as the taste of water, as the strength of the strength, like that. So he's playing sort of, he touches on that. Because, again, remember, by understanding Krishna's glories and Krishna's position, then one naturally takes to devotional service. That's what Krishna concludes in the Chatur Sloki. So Arjuna now, he wants to hear, tell me more details about your vibhutis, your glories, your powers, your potencies. So Krishna is going to expand on that. He's eager to hear. So that's the same type of eagerness that the kings and the demigods have. And this is something that has been declared by the great sages of the world, of the whole cosmic manifestation. And in the Mahabharata, there's a very, I'm going to finish with this, I'm going to read it for you. It's a very wonderful passage that expands on what these sages, Narada, Vyasa, Devala, and Asita, declares about Krishna. This is in the Bhishma Parva, the part that includes Bhishma Dev instructing Maharaj Yudhisthira as Bhishma is lying in the bed of arrows after the battlefield of Kurukshetra have ended. Maharaj Yudhisthira went to receive instruction from Bhishma Dev about the duties of a Kshatriya. And it's a very long session, and Bhishma Dev expands, on so many topics. And among those, then he narrates this passage in which Krishna's position is established. Similarly, as Arjuna is declaring, it's not just Krishna and him, Krishna's friend, declaring, but all the great sages such as Narada, all the sages, all the rishis, they declare the same thing, that Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead. So similarly, Bhishma Dev is also saying and he's going to quote the similar sages declaring the same thing, which is, quite something. In Bhishma Parva of Mahabharata, there is a hymn by Brahma that states, quote, O king, by Brahmins, sages, and demigods, it was told in ancient times that the Supreme Lord Krishna is the God above all other gods, such as myself and Shiva. So Lord Brahma is narrating this. The celestial sage Narada declares Lord Krishna as knowing the minds and hearts of all beings. The venerated sage Markandeya Rishi expresses Lord Krishna as embodiment past, present, and future. Venerable Vrigu named Lord Krishna as the austerity of all austerities and the Yagya or worshipable propitiation of all Yagya. Vyas proclaimed that Lord Krishna's form is Satchit Ananda, unlimited knowledge, eternal existence, and unending bliss. Lord Krishna is the bestower of moksha or liberation from material existence, and he appoints Indra, the ruler of the demigod, on his throne in the heavenly worlds. Lord Krishna is the supreme Lord of all lords and gods and every other conception of divinity. The sage Angiras, at the time of creation, declared Lord Krishna as Daksha Prajapati, the creator of all lords, gods, and demigods. The sage Devala proclaimed Lord Krishna was unmanifested in the body, but manifest in the heart and mind of all beings. The sage Asita expressed Lord Krishna as the pervading the sky with his head and earth with his chest, while his stomach represents the three worlds. The four Kumaras, headed by Sanat, eulogized Lord Krishna as Param Brahma, the supreme eternal personality, Param Dhamma, the supreme shelter, the ultimate goal for those endowed with the fruits of austerities, those who are self-satisfied and content through self-realization, and from those great royal kings who are irrevocably committed to word and battle for the sake of establishing righteousness. So, all these various ways, the Supreme Lord Krishna is worshipped and glorified by realized beings. So, this is what Narada is highlighting as the purpose that is there to be fulfilled as for Lord Krishna to participate in this Rajasuya sacrifice. It's something that is a cosmic understanding by all great personalities of Krishna's position and Krishna's purpose. Any comments or questions?
Prabhu, sorry about being late for the class, first of all. So, by us connecting to all the great sages, um, this is how we become purified. Because, um, sometimes it sounds so far, that purification is so great. That purification is so great. Um, I guess what I'm trying to say is by us just hearing like we hearing today and connecting with them, then our purification will come great one day. Just a comment I want to get. You want to comment on it?
Yes, yes. Yeah, thanks. Yes, through the association of the devotees, the purifying factor of the association of the devotees is what Narada is saying here. One is taking, one takes shelter of the glories of hearing and chanting the glories of the Lord. So within the association of devotees, that's what devotees do. Kirta Jam Santatam, it was it. Kirta Jam Santatam Ityam. That the devotees always chanting the glories of the Lord. Yeah. And through that, once immediately there's purification taking place. Even, Nandara say, even outcasts, just by hearing the glories of the Lord. That's most of ourselves, we're outcasts from the very perspective. So that's why when you go to Jagannath Puri, they just, they shoo you like you're a cat or something like that.
People
Any question? Good? You have? Krishna Archana.
Was it Devila from the reading? Was it Devila who was pointing to the fact that Krishna should be the recipient of all sacrifices?
I think so. Let me see here. The sage Devala proclaimed, Lord Krishna was unmanifested in the body, but manifest in the heart and minds of all beings. Now, the one that says, no, it was the Venerable Brigu who says, Brigu named Lord Krishna as the austerity of all austerities and the Yagya, or worship of appropriation of all Yagya.
So, taking that into account, it seems particularly significant that Narada should be emphasizing to Krishna that he needs to be personally present, because naturally, if he's present on the earth, how could you possibly perform a sacrifice without
him.
his being
Yes,
present?
exactly. That's the
Yeah.
whole thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Thank you so much for your attention. Grantarashimam Bhagavatam Ki Jai.